In the quiet, forgotten town of Willowbrook, where the crumbling remnants of an old asylum stood shrouded in mystery and darkness, lived a man named Mark. Mark had always been fascinated by the macabre and inexplicable. Every night, he would venture into the nearby forest, armed only with his flashlight and curiosity, seeking the eerie stories that whispered through the town. One moonless night, as the clock struck midnight, Mark felt an irresistible urge to explore the woods. It was a night so dark that the very trees seemed to swallow the light. As he entered the forest, the branches overhead knitted together, obscuring the stars and plunging him into an eerie silence. The forest had an uncanny way of amplifying every sound. Mark's footsteps echoed like ghostly whispers, and the rustle of leaves sounded like a sinister murmur. Yet, he pressed on, moving deeper into the heart of darkness. After hours of wandering, Mark stumbled upon an overgrown trail barely visible beneath the thick underbrush. An ancient, moss-covered sign pointed ominously to the Willowbrook Asylum. The asylum had long been abandoned, and tales of its horrific past haunted the town. Unable to resist the temptation, Mark decided to follow the path. His flashlight's beam cut through the oppressive gloom as he approached the asylum's decaying facade. He felt a shiver crawl down his spine as he reached for the rusty doorknob. It creaked open with an agonizing groan, as if reluctant to allow anyone inside. Once within, Mark's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across the moldy walls. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and he could hear faint whispers in the distance. Ignoring the growing unease in his chest, Mark ventured deeper into the asylum, searching for answers to the town's darkest secrets. In a dimly lit corridor, Mark's flashlight beam landed on a cracked mirror, and his heart skipped a beat. Reflected in the glass, he saw a lady in a white dress. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow, and her hair hung in damp tendrils around her face. She seemed to glide toward him, her movements ethereal and otherworldly. Frozen in terror, Mark watched as the ghostly woman drew closer. Her spectral form exuded an aura of despair, and her gaze held an unspoken anguish. He stumbled backward, his heart racing, but the corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, trapping him with the apparition. With each step, the woman's appearance shifted, becoming increasingly grotesque. Her once white dress was now tattered and stained with dark, viscous fluid. Her eyes turned coal black, and her fingers elongated into gnarled, skeletal claws. A sinister laughter echoed through the corridor, a chorus of tormented souls. Mark's flashlight flickered again, and the apparition vanished, leaving him standing alone in the suffocating darkness. The asylum itself seemed to come alive, its walls pulsating with sinister energy. Mark felt an invisible force pulling him deeper into its nightmarish depths. As he stumbled through the asylum's labyrinthine corridors, the whispers grew louder, revealing the tormented souls of the past. They recounted tales of unspeakable horrors that had occurred within these walls, where the line between life and death had blurred. Mark finally emerged into a large, decrepit chamber at the heart of the asylum. In the center, a flickering candle cast eerie shadows on the walls. At its base lay an old, weathered diary. With trembling hands, Mark opened it and began to read the final entry. The lady in white, a victim of our cruel experiments, wanders these halls seeking vengeance. She is a harbinger of our sins, and her torment shall never cease. As Mark finished reading, the candle extinguished, plunging the chamber into total darkness. He was no longer alone. The lady in white had returned, her grotesque form looming before him. With a blood-curdling scream, Mark realized that he was trapped in a nightmarish loop, destined to relive the asylum's horrors for eternity, just like those who had come before him. And so, in the heart of Willowbrook's darkness, the lady in white continued her haunting, and Mark became another chapter in the asylum's twisted history, forever lost in the abyss of the abandoned asylum.